Hey friends, Chubby Meeple here, back to talk to you about day 4 of Origins. This was my Saturday experience. Going to walk through again games I played, who I talked to, what I did, things that I got to see and experience, and share those with you. Definitely feel free to drop comments below. If I talk about a game you've got more questions about, feel free to drop them below. Subscribe, share this video wherever you want. I don't care. The more people that get to see it, the better off we all are. So we're going to dive right in. Started Saturday doing some booth work with the Dice Tower guys. Typical, just kind of showing up while they were doing some of their live streams that were going on. I had some guys at that point on Saturday, had good designers that were showing up with prototypes, hopefully near finished prototypes, giving them a little bit of camera time on the live stream. So that was a really cool experience. I helped out with a table again, hanging out with just the entire crew. Sam, Z, Tom, Robert, the blue player, was hanging out with us. Graham Anderson. We had a whole bunch of people that were there just kind of hanging out, working the table. So it was a great way to kind of kick off the day, a little bit more of a laid back mode. Talking to a lot of the Dice Tower fans, and I did that all the way up to lunchtime there, and ended up going and went over to North Market for lunch. And while I was there, I ran into Bruce from North Star Games, who had demoed Wits and Wagers Vegas on Thursday evening. So I got to chat with him a little bit about his experiences. I made the comment that he just seemed like he really knew what he was doing in the dealing and the Vegas style, cashing out chips and everything. Had a really unique conversation. I won't go into a lot of detail because I don't know how much of it he wants out there, but he's actually had some experience dealing blackjack, and it was a very cool story. I didn't realize before talking to him, just how much he's done and how cool of a guy he really is. He's an incredibly energetic guy. His personality is absolutely larger than life. Very cool guy. He was he's going to be helping out any of the media providers with the Wits and Wagers Vegas content that we left with on Thursday evening. He's making himself available for interviews, any kind of art that they can send over. It's a very supportive guy, supporting all of the media as we're trying to support their upcoming Kickstarter for Wits and Wagers Vegas. Was just really cool to get to talk to him and chat with him. Headed back over to the exhibit hall and was wandering around there, and I actually sat down at the Stronghold booth again and demoed Frog Riders. This is a new family weight game. And I don't know, all I could think of while I was playing Frog Riders was it's kind of like a checkers on steroids, because you're really jumping the frogs over. You're jumping the frogs over other frogs. You're taking what you jumped over. But the unique twist to that is you can turn in the different colored frogs. Certain frogs let you turn. If you turn in a blue frog, you get to take one of the cards that's on there that now gives you a special ability. Brown frogs don't get turned in. They're just worth a point each at the end of the game. Your red frogs give you abilities. There's yellow frogs that give you abilities. There's a unique there's some community scoring objectives for different sets of frogs, and then there's a secret scoring objective that you have as well for collecting. The particular one that I had was for every pair of yellow frogs I had, I scored points. So I scored a bunch of points there at the end for that. But it's a very lightweight game. It played in about 20 minutes. We were done because you literally play until no one can make a legal jump anymore, and then you're done. So this was a very fun little game. Again, it's a family weight game. I could see playing this with my kids. I think they would like it, and because it's 15-20 minutes, if they don't like it, it's over quickly. So but I would definitely check out Frog Riders. It was a lot of fun. The little frogs are really well sculpted. The component quality is nice. The cards are good weight. And because it's a random setup each time, you're literally just kind of tossing the frogs out on the board and spreading them out on the lily pads and leaving the center one open. The setup is different every game, and your scoring conditions and the power-up cards that come out each game are different. So there's a lot of replayability in the game as well. So definitely check out Frog Riders. That's coming out from Stronghold Games. It should be in stores now. So definitely jump over and check that out. As I was walking around the hall, I ran into Gil Hova. When I picked up my copy of Wordsy the day before on Friday, I chatted with him a little bit about demoing his expansion for the network's executives, and he had mentioned that he was hoping to have it in there on Saturday. It was being shipped overnight to him, so I swung by the booth to see if he had that, and unfortunately, he did not, but we chatted a lot about his upcoming Kickstarters, including Network's Executives expansion. He's also mentioned that he was looking at doing a reprint down the road of Bad Medicine, which was his first game, doing a reprint, kind of tweaking some of the mechanisms and mechanics there as well. That's going to be a lot of fun there. I'm really hoping to be doing some work on those campaigns for him in the future when they start launching. Maybe able to do some some playthroughs or some quick review or a preview of either the network's executives or the Bad Medicine. That's the name of the game. Bad Medicine that he has out there. So may end up doing work, may not. Who knows? While I was in Gil's booth, another guy working the booth, Zach Connolly, reached out and handed me a copy of his game, Deathbot Derby. He said no review necessary. I'll probably play it and do a review anyway because it was incredibly nice of him to just hand me a game at no cost, something that he worked on. So I'll definitely be keeping an eye out. Probably see a review of Deathbot Derby pop up at some time or at some point. I also had the opportunity to chat with the team at Golden Bell Studios about possibly doing some work for them in terms of doing some reviews for current games they have. They got some Kickstarter games coming out. I believe the latest one's called, I want to say it's called Turtles Driving Airships, something like that. It's kind of a follow-up to their latest Kickstarter game, Pretending to Grow Up, that did really well for them. So I may be doing some things for them in the past, here in the future as well. Who knows? We've had some email communication since Origin, so we'll see what comes of that down the road. And then before the exhibit hall closed on on Saturday, I made a big purchase. Mainly because I got a good deal on it. And the purchase that I made, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to hold this up on screen or not, but I'm certainly going to try because it is impressive. Some people may be familiar with this, some not. This thing, I still think Gloomhaven's a little bit bigger of a box, but what I picked up the Saturday before, literally right before the exhibit hall closed, was Cthulhu Wars. Sandy Peterson from Peterson Games. This is obviously a big box game here. Really cool miniatures on it. I mean, that's actual size of one of the miniatures that's in the game. I believe Cthulhu's on the other side of the box, so there's your Cthulhu miniature, shown actual size. They're very large miniatures, a very large game box. Picked it up because I got a good deal on it. I actually got it along with an alternate map. This is the Yuggoth map that adds a different map to play on, as well as some different gameplay mechanics to the game. Got a heck of a deal on that, so I had to pick that up just because I couldn't pass it up. I mean, the base game itself is normally $199, and I got both for less than that, so it was fantastic. So that was my big purchase of Saturday as far as games go. Ran them out to the car. Luckily, I was parked nearby that day, so I ran it out to the car so I didn't have to lug it around the rest of the night because I had to get to the ballroom for the Origin Awards. Origin Awards were being handed out that evening. I actually ended up seated with the press. I was there on a press badge. Stood outside. I saw people going in and out of the room prior to them opening the room up. Didn't think anything of it. I stood in line. I chatted with James Hudson a little bit and a couple other prospective designers who design hopefuls that were there chatting about their games, and we just had some great conversation. As we walked into the room, one of the ladies that was there noticed on my press badge and sent me up front to sit with press. So I ended up sitting up front with the Dice Tower guys and some of the folks from Som Reviews. There were a whole bunch of people sitting up front. And so on the fly, I decided, you know what, I'm going to live tweet the results. It wasn't something I had planned to do, but they sat me with the press, so I thought I should do something press-like instead of just staring at the stage. So I was snapping photos every time a winner was announced. I snapped a photo, sent out a tweet as to who won what category. You can see that on my Twitter if you didn't see it before, but jump over to Twitter at the Chubby Meeple. You'll see and kind of scroll through. You'll see the different winners there. Big winner of the night was probably Scythe. It won for board game as well as game of the year. It was the fan favorite board game. Probably my highlight of the Origin Awards, besides being there as press and being able to live tweet it, which was a cool experience, was here we are in this event that's very very serious. It was presented very much almost like an Oscars kind of ceremony. Everybody was dressed up really nice, and David and Jeremy from Man vs. Meeple were hosting the event. They'd put together this really touching video about why people are gamers and why they game, and just talking about the community as a whole. And you had all these personalities that were coming up with this really heartwarming, touching video. You can check that out over on Man vs. Meeple's channel. They had that video. They've since posted it, so you can watch that in its entirety. It's a very cool little video. But for me, the highlight of this was when North Star Games was given their award for Happy Salmon. Happy Salmon won for Family Game, and they were hooting and hollering. Bruce was up. They had a gigantic version of Happy Salmon he carried up on the stage with him to hold up as kind of a trophy. It was a lot of fun. They were throwing copies of Happy Salmon into the crowd. So it was very much a break from the almost Oscar red carpet kind of feel to just, we're here to have fun and party. So it was really fun to see that. It got some good laughs from the crowd. Again, Bruce is a fantastic guy. They did, in addition to the awards, they did the Hall of Fame nominations. Nominated a couple of folks into the Origins Hall of Fame, and actually had some previous inductees on stage as well. So that was a lot of fun. Very cool time there. When the Dice Tower Awards were over, they cleared everyone out of the room. We reset the room for the Dice Tower live show. Being with the Dice Tower guys, through the week, working the booth, and then sitting with them during the awards ceremony. I helped kind of clear the room, helped with some setup, and then Tom came up to me and said he needed someone to be on a team and wanted to know if I would do that. And I said yes. He walked away, and then I was like, wait, what did I just agree to do? Had no idea what he was talking about. For those that are familiar with the Dice Tower live show, you've probably seen at these live events they do at Gen Con and at Origins and Dice Tower Con. They do kind of a game show, and I had agreed to be on a team. So when the Dice Tower Live segment comes out, I believe it's episode 514, so it'll be a couple more weeks before that actually posts. It'll be their audio podcast for that episode. I want to say it's 514 if I remember correctly. You'll probably see the YouTube video get posted around that same time. Probably it'll definitely be after. I can't imagine they would put that out before they put the audio out. But I'm on there. I got to sit on Z's team. They played a Family Feud style word game, going through survey questions. Tom had put a bunch of questions out, I believe, through BGG, and people responded, and he compiled the answers and gave Eric the list, and these were the answers. So they played a Family Feud style game, with the twist being that if you got the number one answer on the list, the other team got the points. So you wanted to get the number two answer. You wanted to guess right, but not too right. And that was a lot of fun. I got to sit through a couple of questions as part of Z's team. And then there was Z, there was myself, and then there was another member from the audience. Did a couple of questions, and then I got up the stage. They brought up a couple more contributors, one on Z's team, one on Sam's team, a couple more people from the audience. And the members from the audience actually had the chance, when they got up on stage, they got to win a prize, whether it was a Dice Tower promotional die or Z's promotional character for Rum and Bones. So it was a lot of fun. I was also on the sidelines when I wasn't on stage. I was on the sidelines tabulating the scores on a whiteboard and shouting out scores after every round, keeping a running total. So being involved in the Dice Tower live show was really cool. And then on the flip side, or not really the flip side, but after the Dice Tower live show was over, Tom was psyched about the success of the show, and I ended up hanging out with Tom and Eric Summerer, Derek Porter, that does a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff, Mike Parkinson, who's in charge of a lot of scheduling. He does his own YouTube stuff as well. I hung out with them. We had dinner up in their hotel room, some subs from the Subway in the food court. Tom had got some wings and some breadsticks, and we just kind of hung out, chit-chatted about how, what we thought went right, what we thought, could have gone better. It was really cool to just sit around and hang out with these guys. After dinner, Tom and Eric crashed out, and I stayed up and played a game of Tiny Epic Galaxies with Derek and Mike. And we played with the new Beyond the Black expansion that just fulfilled the Kickstarter backers recently. So I got to play that, and it was just for lack of a better word, it was just a surreal experience. Last year at Gen Con, I was the guy walking up to the Dice Tower booth asking to take a picture with Tom and Sam and Z. And this year, here I was on Saturday night of the show, sitting in their hotel room playing games in less than a year's time. So it was really a surreal experience, but an absolute blast. And even though I was quote unquote the new guy on the Dice Tower, crew for the show, I was never treated that way. I was treated like I'd always been there. Everyone was very welcoming. It was a lot of fun, a whole lot of fun to just get to hang out with people after the show and have that experience there. One quick thing I want to say, I talked in my video for yesterday. The day previous, I had played Sigil Powers of War with Dustin Crouch and had helped kind of facilitate getting the game in front of Tom and in front of Sam. While I was playing Beyond the Black, Tiny Epic Galaxies with Derek and Mike, I got a message from Dustin through Facebook Messenger that he wanted to thank me for introducing the game to Tom, putting in a good word with Tom so Tom would take a look at the game. Tom got it in front of Sam, and Sam and Dustin actually played it with a couple of guys from Arcane Wonders who seem interested in picking the game up. So here's hoping that Sigil gets published, whether that's Arcane Wonders, whether it's another publisher, whether Dustin does his another Kickstarter, as he was originally planning to do in, I believe, September, so after Gen Con. So either way, I really think Sigil's going to see the light of day because it really needs to, because it is a solid game. But Sam had a lot of fun with it and actually played it one-on-one with Dustin, and then they later took it and played it with Arcane Wonders and presented with them, and I guess they played for a couple of hours. So it was really exciting to get to be a part of, even a little part of this game possibly coming to the real world here very shortly from an established publisher like Arcane would be fantastic for Dustin. So again, good luck, Dustin. I hope that all pans out for you. Couple of shout outs. I've been doing 2 shout outs an episode, so I got 2 shout outs I'm going to do this episode as well. First shout out I want to give goes to Gwen Ruelle. She is a game designer, has a game that this game is called Fire Tower. And it is currently, they've been going through Game Crafter and having it kind of produced through Game Crafter and shipped out to folks from there, but they're looking later this year at running a Kickstarter to actually produce a more well-produced, upgrade the components and get a more well-rounded experience for backers. I actually have a copy. Gwen sent me a copy of the game for my review. I'll be putting together a review and helping with that Kickstarter when it launches. I believe they're shooting for sometime in the fall, like a September, maybe early October kind of time frame. They haven't really nailed down a date just yet, but the plan is to get Fire Tower produced with upgraded components and a more complete feeling game. But Gwen was kind enough to contribute to the GoFundMe page to help get me to Columbus. So I wanted to give a shout out. I'll put some links in the bottom so that you can check out Gwen's work and see if it's something that might interest you as well. And the second and final shout out I'm going to give for this episode, or for this video, is my good friend Lindsay Miller over in the UK, my friend across the pond. She contributed. I contributed to her campaign that she had going to get her to Gen Con, from the UK to Gen Con, which is exciting. It's going to be fantastic to meet her. We've been members of the Instagamers Network together, contributors to that segment, which is kind of how we met, through Instagram and the Instagamers Network. Instagamers is kind of what I credit with kind of giving, me catching the YouTube bug, if you will. But Lindsay contributed as well, and kind of in return for contributing to hers, and not really in return, but we kind of contributed to each other's GoFundMe. So I wanted to give a shout out to Lindsay for her generosity, but also promote kind of what she's doing. She, like I said, is a member of the Instagamers Network. She's also a contributor to the 5x audio podcast. So every couple of weeks she has a 5-minute segment where she does a quick 5-minute review on the 5x, which is a fantastic fantastic podcast. If you've not checked it out, there's 5 reviewers that each take 5 minutes reviewing a game. So it's literally about a 25 to 30 minute podcast. So something you could knock out over a lunch break. Very, very worth your listen. So check that out. Lindsay's also going to be, as part of coming to Gen Con, she's going to be doing a research project while she's here. So that's going to be, you definitely keep your eyes out for that. You can find Lindsay. She is on Instagram at Shiny Happy Meeples, all one word. On Twitter as SH Meeples. She also has a blog. I want to say it's shinyhappymeeplesblog.wordpress.com. I may be wrong about that. There'll be a link down in the description to all of that stuff. So check out Lindsay. She's fantastic. She's entertaining. She does some. She's got her own YouTube channel here as well. Also, Shiny Happy Meeples here on YouTube, where she does some solo playthroughs, some unboxings. She's got a hilarious bloopers video that she put together. So definitely check Lindsay out. Again, thanks to Gwen, thanks to Lindsay for your generosity. I know you guys have some things going on. Wish you guys both all the best. Lindsay, I look forward to seeing you in Indianapolis in August. That's it for this video, friends. And again, till the next video, we got one more in the series talking about Sunday. And until then, I'm the Chubby Meeple. Keep gaming, friends.